Never heard of that.
This is my Heisman TED Talk.
I love it. He does have a brain.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, it's just like...
Welcome into Red Raider Recon, presented by Cantex Roofing. I'm Rob Bro. He's Clint Scott.
This week we are talking about Texas Tech's
Big 12 champion, college football 4-seed, Texas Tech Red Raider football team. Go ahead.
My bad.
Go ahead.
The Big
Just put some
12
respect on
champion,
it.
Texas Tech Red Raiders, draw in the college football playoff field.
And?
Jacob Rodriguez Heisman snub. And the awards that he's won.
Awards, yeah.
Do you want to do this?
No, go ahead. You're doing good.
For the first time in program history, the Texas Tech Red Raiders are Big 12 champs. In the second meeting with BYU, they won by yet another massive margin, winning the matchup in Arlington 34-7. Ben Roberts won MVP honors with his conference championship record-breaking 2 interceptions. His linebacker running mates were also impressive, with John Curry totaling 10 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a forced fumble, while Jacob Rodriguez led all defenders with 13 tackles and had a tackle for loss as well. The defense was dominant, forcing 4 turnovers in total. The Cougars' opening drive resulted in a touchdown, but outside of that, the Red Raider defense looked like its usual self, giving Bear Bachmeyer and BYU little time to think and no room to breathe. They had 200 yards of total offense. For the Red Raider offense, the running backs had another nice afternoon. Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams combined for 152 rushing yards, with Dickey scoring a massive touchdown late in the third quarter to give Tech a 14-point lead. In the Cowboys Stadium, Cowboy Coy found the end zone twice. His first was a 33-yard passing touchdown from Behren Morton to give the Red Raiders their first lead at 10-7. He also had the nail in the coffin, taking a catch that was 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, 28 yards to the house. That made it 31-7 with 7 minutes to go, ending any fleeting hope for a BYU comeback. The season's far from over, however. Tech earned a bye as the 4 seed in the college football playoff. They joined Indiana, Ohio State, and Georgia as top 4 seeds. They'll return to action on New Year's Day in Miami for the Orange Bowl. Their opponent? That will be decided December 20th in Eugene, Oregon, when the 5th-seeded Ducks host the 12th-seed James Madison. Will the Dukes upset Dan Lanning's crew, or will the Ducks handle business and provide a rematch from 2023's game in Lubbock?
That's right. They are the Big 12 champs for the first time in program history. They are the 4 seed in the college football playoff. Their draw is the winner of Oregon and James Madison, the 5-12. But Rob, I want to just dive right in. And as we take a look back at the win in Arlington, and I love that you had some homegrown guys play big parts in the win. I love that you saw a clean performance from Behren Morton. I love that your running backs had a good day. I love that your linebackers as a whole got to show off. But the biggest thing that I loved was that in another new area, a new, I guess, style of game, type of game that you haven't been before, you look like the same Texas Tech you have all year. Eventually, the defense just turned that game on its head, flipped it upside down, dominated BYU, choked the life out of their offense, and in another scenario where the moment could have been too big or something like that, it clearly was not, and you proved again why you are the best team in the Big 12 and you have a legitimate shot to make a run in the college football playoff.
Ben Roberts was awesome. Was not bought in the portal. Behren Morton was awesome. Was not bought in the portal. Jacob Rodriguez came to this team as a walk-on. Now, Lee Hunter, incredible game. Purchased. David Bailey, overpaid for, right? That's what they're telling us. Romello Height took the Texas Tech overpay to come here. That's what everybody's telling us. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
And it worked to the level of you being the 4 seed in the playoff with an opportunity to play James Madison or Oregon. And we'll talk about all these playoff games as we get there. We have a few weeks before we even have to talk about the first one. But this is just an incredible an incredible season. And everything that you wanted to do so far, you've done. You know, you and I thought Texas Tech would be 10-2, 11-1. A few of those road games we thought were really tough, but said if you go 2-1 in those road games, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona State, which is exactly what you did, you'd be in a position for the Big 12 championship. You did not back in. You didn't tie anybody. You were the home team in the Big 12 championship. You hammered BYU, which I think should have been a playoff team, twice. And an early thought here, as before you get into your three thoughts, I'm seeing a lot of Oregon fans saying that they drew the easiest path to the national championship game.
It's not just Oregon fans, man. It is national voices, and that's actually something I have in my thoughts that I will get to. But I've seen that too. I think it's very surprising, but I think you're still trying to shake the Big 12 stigma. Like there can't be great teams in the Big 12. Like there can't be threatening teams in the Big 12. There just aren't, right? That's the thought. Even though you just watch this team dominate and you're putting up numbers, analytics, and metrics, draft grades, PFF grades, pick a route saying like, hey, we're slapping you in the face with this information. You choose not to believe it. That's fine. That's fine with me, especially if Oregon is going to do that.
Yeah.
That's going to make it that much better if you have a great showing in the college football playoff.
Don't want to step on your toes. Do you have a PFF also in your thoughts?
I do.
Okay.
But
I'll wait.
Okay.
Is it about a corner?
No, it's not about cornerback John Curry.
The highest graded corner on championship weekend was John Curry. And I noticed this about 3 weeks ago that PFF has him listed as a corner. He plays so much. He's a safety. He really is a linebacker. He plays so much in the nickel that he's listed as a corner on PFF. He was the highest graded corner on conference championship weekend.
Yeah. Which is, it's just really funny to see that, but it's like, well, he did have a great game, but this is where you get into, he's listed as a safety. We view him, the room views him as a linebacker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's sitting there. I'm not doing this press. Not him. We're not doing the press conferences. All of us linebackers can be up there. And who do you see up there? Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts, and John Curry. And then he is in coverage so much. Really, he might as well be working out of like a nickelback thought, and so or a safety. So it's all confusing.
Yeah.
Just know that he's a really, really good player.
Yeah.
And it was still funny to see him as the highest graded cornerback for championship weekend.
And I know we did the post game. You did a segment with me on the post game right after the game.
Yeah.
But the more and more I've thought about this game, that might have been the most dominant fourth quarter I've seen in a football game at that level in a long time.
So we had talked about this. There was a lot of similarities between the first meeting with BYU and the second. It just came in a different order. And, you could say, well, the touchdown drive that they had, obviously it comes way earlier than their first score in the first meeting, right? And it is their opening drive. And it's not like they just hammered you on it. They made some plays on third down. They worked in a couple of trick plays. One worked, one didn't. I guess if you want to call the L.J. Martin fake pitch to the quarterback also somewhat trickeration, eye candy, things like that, that one clearly works too. And they did some things that I liked approach-wise, misdirection in the backfield, trying to throw your defense off, seeing if you could get some over-pursuing, seeing if you could just lose who had the ball. I thought that was really smart. But if you take that touchdown drive out, that was a more dominant defensive showing as a whole than the first game, which I didn't think was possible. And so if you say, well, each game had a touchdown drive from BYU, each game had several field goal attempts, which you missed more this time. Again, you said this could have been a worse score. It just felt so similar, yet I thought whenever you were in crunch time in the second half and your offense wasn't putting you up by enough, that your defense clamped down even more. Like somehow they found another level, they found another gear, and I don't know, maybe it's because you had some performances out of players that you didn't expect to that level. I don't know why I felt that way, but at the end of the day, 200 yards of total offense is going to speak for itself.
Brock Golis came in for Ben Roberts. Ben Roberts returned and then left again. Golis might have played, I could look at the snap count, maybe 30 snaps. That's probably high. 20 snaps?
That would feel about right.
He had 6 tackles.
Yeah.
And on that one, his last drive that I remember him in, made the last 3 plays of the drive in a critical situation, one on the sideline.
He didn't blink, and I don't know, does that answer our question about Jacob Rodriguez next year?
Yeah, do you need a trade, or are you just having that guy?
Because I know you have to play who you have to play, but I was thinking, okay, well, are you moving Curry down to the inside and bringing in McCarty to the star? Like, what do you do there? And they say, hey, kid, go out there, and he didn't blink, like, to his credit, which was awesome to see, and that's why they have the confidence of the guys that they've seen in practice and have seen have reps and things like that. That depth chart is set that way for a reason. And then even past that, then Ben Roberts clearly has an awesome game. Let's jump into 3 thoughts because I want to start there with my first thought.
First thought.
Ben Roberts, Coy Aiken, just to bounce off of something that we've already talked about, but dig in a little deeper. Those are 2 tough, gritty guys. Those are also guys that stepped up and had, to me, the biggest performances on either side of the ball. Ben Roberts wins MVP. Coy Aiken has both passing touchdowns of that game. He has the big play to kind of lift some of the tension off that was in the building to go up 10-7, and then he has the absolute nail in the coffin. You're not coming back from this. Those are 2 guys that you have seen grow up through the program, and that is hard to find in college football. It's not like a favoritism or anything like that. I just loved that those were the 2 guys that were like, you're that side of the ball MVP to me. Clearly, Ben Roberts, his first interception was difficult enough, right? And that was very Jacob Rodriguez-esque. The second one, I think most people thought it was Jacob Rodriguez just from snap reaction when he comes up there and just snags it. And you're like, oh my God, it's Roberts again. And your defense as a whole, I know you get the forced fumble from John Curry. You get A.J. Holmes blowing up a play, just massive performances across the board. But just for the crowd that was, like you were saying, still it's you bought a championship. It's not you invested in the program and you did things you have to do to win. That's never what the tagline is. But I love with that, you had guys that have been here and you have developed that played a massive piece in winning a Big 12 championship. And by the way, Cowboy Coy just scores touchdowns in that stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, he was my player that maybe hadn't performed to the utmost level this year to break out maybe in a Big 12 championship game. And I'm really proud of how he finished, right? Because a lot of guys who maybe have struggled or had their roles reduced or whatever else that you maybe had expected coming in, he had big goals. I mean, he had goals of 1,000 yards and 100 catches and 10 touchdowns, whatever it was, and he didn't quite get those numbers. But to play in that game and to do that in that opportunity, that's got to be huge for him. And to do it with Behren Morton, his roommate and friend, that's pretty strong.
I also think that was important to put on tape for whoever you see in the college football playoff. I'm going to try to stay away too much from saying when you see Oregon, because clearly they still have to play that game, but they're a massive favorite for a reason. But I think either way, whoever you see, that was massive to put on tape. But also that's the Coy Aiken we expected to see too. And it hasn't always been pretty from him. And sometimes you're going to see a single player have massive expectations from the fan base, from himself, from his coaching staff, and maybe doesn't reach those levels. And I think Coy Aiken clearly fits that description this year, but it's not like he's had a bad year. He just hasn't had the year we thought we would. And as soon as you see him high point that ball for the first touchdown and beats a man in one-on-one coverage, it's like that's the Coy Aiken I thought we were going to see this year. That's the Coy Aiken that isn't an interception in Utah. That's a touchdown. And so, past just the things that you put on tape, if you have that Coy Aiken and that option to go along with Reggie Virgil, who's hit his stride, Caleb Douglas, who's always a threat, and Terrence Carter, who is just an amazing tight end, and you can use him in so many different ways, on top of a good running game, that's what pushes you to me from a really good team to a great team that can make a run in the playoff. That sort of stuff. Second thought.
Second thought.
The loudest Raider power chant that has ever happened was led by Joey McGuire on the Big 12 championship stage. He has a pulse on this university and these fans that is unmatched across college football. He is a terrific motivator of people, not just players. And he and his staff and his guys have done an incredible job of not just performing, but also making sure the fan base was just as big of a part of it. And you hear all the time, like, oh, like that fan base deserves it. Sometimes it's not true. It's like, well, sometimes that inter-team here was just really good. Like, why does that fan base deserve it over Temple?
Right.
The Red Raider fan base has earned it. They have backed this program. And, I mean, you could see and feel the emotional connection between Joey McGuire and that fan base. And, one, what it meant to him, but also what it meant to everybody that was there. And I wonder, as they were doing the trophy presentation, over ABC, if you had people yelling power back in their living rooms when he leads that. With West Texas in their eyes.
I mean, I was screaming at the end of the end zone. Were you in the press box screaming? Oh, you were already walking down, Brian.
I was walking down. Well, no, I saw it. I'm not supposed to yell in the press box.
Right.
Little side brag here, which was just not. I didn't make this decision, but I was in a group of 4 NFL scouts.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to
Right.
You break the professional code. I wanted to. I didn't want to break the professional code, but I mean, I cheered when the final clock hit, but don't tell anybody that. Third thought. This is what you led into. You are still being slept on from a lot of national voices, and that's fine. You've got a chance to not only put on a cape for the Big 12, which I think is important because it benefits you, but it also benefits the conference as a whole, which in return benefits you. It's like a circle. But you also have a chance to show why it is difficult to gauge a team when TV networks have told you to put so much respect into only 2 conferences. And even then, it's like 1 conference and 3 or 4 teams from the other conference with the SEC and Big Ten. And that mindset it legitimately blinds you to talent that is in other places and on other rosters. And that's why, on one hand, I'm like, it is crazy for you Oregon fans or for you whoever that's making picks on ESPN to sit here and go like, Oregon's going to win this game by 14 points. It's on one hand, it's crazy for me, but then the other side, I'm like, well, you've been brainwashed into thinking this way. And again, that's fine because you have the chance to completely break that. Assuming it's Oregon, I don't think you can break that mindset if James Madison upsets Oregon and you hammer James Madison. But through whatever run this is going to look like, you're going to have a great shot at doing that. Starting January 1st in the Orange Bowl. We'll see you 2026.
ESPN put out a list of predictions for the playoff, right? And a lot of them had Indiana in the semifinals scoring 38, 42, 27 on this Texas Tech defense. Several of them had Oregon upsetting Texas Tech. Only one of 15 had Texas Tech winning the national championship, which is fine. That's probably around the right thought process there. But it just, I don't know, it feels like you're getting a little disrespected here. A little, maybe a lot.
Like the voices that love you have, I'm not saying it isn't in or on panels at all, because the voices that think you're a great team have echoed that. But it's like, those are I would label some of the everyday voices, but then you have some that feel like they're out of the woodwork, and this is the first time we're hearing their projections on ESPN and Fox and CBS. Pick a show, and those ones are like, have you watched them play all year? And the answer is no, by the way. The answer is no.
Yeah.
It was like, have you watched them play all year? Or have you watched 2 minutes of film for and like an entertainment TV package you've been sent, because you have to talk about them because they're in the field and they have a bye.
Or just read the box scores.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which does not provide what I think this season is. And you also, like, I keep hearing, well, why did they give up 26 to Arizona State, who stunk? The offense had 10 straight drives of punts or turnovers in that game.
Yeah. Do a little math there whenever teams are getting just free shot after free shot, essentially.
Right. So I don't understand the disrespect, especially for this defense. I think this defense has proved it. I think the defense is healthy. And David Bailey and Romello Height, I don't care who your offensive tackles are. Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts, I don't care who your interior offensive linemen are or running backs are. This secondary, this pass rush, I don't care who your quarterback is. They're going to find success. And I cannot wait to potentially see Indiana in Atlanta. I cannot wait to potentially see Oregon, obviously, in Miami. I can't wait to potentially see Ohio State or whoever else, Georgia, in a national championship game. Obviously, you have to do those in order, but it just feels like this Texas Tech team is in such a good position.
Yeah, and when you dominated a great Utah offensive line, that's something that everyone could agree on from those same voices that are picking things like this and picking an upset and going like, oh, well, they're just doing it in the Big 12. Those same voices echoed how great that Utah offensive line was in the offseason and didn't ever really fall off the map outside of you.
Right.
And then you dominate a good, I would say a really good BYU offensive line 2 times. Yeah, I don't have a concern. I'm not saying it's a lock to beat Oregon. I think that team is good, and it wouldn't be like the biggest surprise if you were to see the Ducks in fall, or if you advance past them and you were to see Indiana in fall. I'm not concerned, though, about you having a bad performance because you don't have the talent. Or going back to this, I'm not afraid of you going into a new venue or something like that and the moment being too big for you. You've proven it all season long that isn't the case. If you lose at some point in the playoff, it's because that team was better that day and outplayed you, because that's the point that you're getting to.
Yep.
By the time you take off, it's going to be 8 teams, and I do think you will have 8 teams who have an argument that they could be the best in the country.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Ready to overreact?
I am so ready.
Would you like to overreact first?
Sure. Not only was it a travesty that Jacob Rodriguez was left off the Heisman ballot as an attendee in New York, but beyond that, if a quarterback wins this award this year, it's going to be the worst quarterback to win this award maybe ever.
Can I be brutal? It's a waste of an honor this year.
Now, Jeremiah Love is a very good player, and I think he's deserving of a Heisman Award. And if he wins it, I think I would be fine with that. But these 3 quarterbacks are... That's like Brad Johnson winning NFL MVP because he led the Bucs to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You're not going to find any argument for me, and I'm viewing it this year like, if you want to, Fernando Mendoza is probably going to win it. That's fine.
Right.
Julian saying, I would argue, could be left out, and I would be just fine. But you're doing the best team quarterback on it. That's fine. Jeremiah Love, I do think should be there. I mean, I think he's the most talented running back, and he's had a big impact. But Diego, which, by the way, I would still put in Rodriguez over Love, Diego Pavia has no business being there. I mean, seriously, if you want to look at, I guess we're planning on getting into this a little bit later, but I mean, you look at like team success. Well, he's not in the playoffs, losing to in the biggest games that they played. Better passing numbers. He's 15th in passing yards. He's 8th in completion percentage, 9th in passing touchdowns. And again, lost in Vandy's 2 biggest games. And if you're trying to argue for love, at least with Rodriguez, also didn't lead them to a playoff, didn't lead the country in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, or yards per carry. Like all of these things that were like, these are why these players are so specific. Are special. That's why this quarterback should be there. Again, love should be, but it should be saying, it should be Mendoza. It absolutely should be Jacob Rodriguez.
I think
it should be Jeremiah Love.
Those quarterbacks.
Sure, but you're not going to give the North Texas love, and I mean, also it doesn't help that they lose their conference championship game. But I just think we have turned that award into as vanilla as we can. It's like, hey, we threw you a bone last year, right? Here was a unicorn season from Travis Hunter. Like we had to do it. Although you still could have made an argument as well for Genty, but that was such a special year. It's not going to happen again, at least to that level. It's like we threw you a bone. We're going back to the quarterback award. We're going back to, it is clearly the Heisman's Offensive Player of the Year. I have a fix that I'm going to pitch to you later, though.
Okay. I'm excited for that. Another overreaction from me. We talked last week about how it was not really an overreaction anymore. Anything we could say about this Texas Tech team because they are legitimate. But I think this offense is the most underrated offense in the playoff. And I was trying to think of how to work this into an overreaction specifically. And I guess the overreaction would be that it's a top 2 offense, top 3 offense in the college football playoff. I think you're ranked 4th because of your defense. But I think your offense is also a top 4 offense in the college football playoff. And I think they're severely underrated with a healthy Behren Morton.
Yeah, I think what hurts you, and I don't disagree because I think you've gotten to that point. And the problem,
it's been across the last month.
Yeah, the problem is when people were watching and building opinions early on in the college football playoff poll, you were without him, and then when you had him back, clearly was not right and wasn't able to do some of the things that he was able to do or is able to do now, and was able to do in the Big 12 championship. Like when he breaks away. And this is a sack. Here's a play that I was like, that is a winning play. So it winds up as a field goal where he's running away from a defender. It's one of the few times that left side truly breaks down in pass protection, and he spins away from a defender, evades another, should be an 8 or 9 yard sack, keeps it to around a 2 yard sack, and keeps him in field goal position. Like that stuff. Behren wasn't making that play against BYU the first time. Just a few weeks ago. Behren wasn't making the play of breaking away from a defender and moving the sticks on a 3rd down, finding Caleb Douglas downfield on the sideline.
Yep.
And so, like, if you get that Behren Morton, which you are, and now you're going to have more rest, I agree with you. That is a top offense in the country when you add the running game and the talent.
Right. Overreaction number 3. Bowl season's health has been declining for about 5 years, maybe longer. It just doesn't have the same juice as when we were youths. But with Notre Dame opting out of the playoff by having a bad schedule and opting out of a bowl game on their own recognizance, bowl season is dead. It's dead. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And if you expand again to 16, it will mean even less. If you ever got to 24, it would mean absolutely nothing. The G5, or everyone who doesn't make the original playoff, needs to either have an NIT that involves all those bowl names and make it a tournament, or you just need to cut ties with about 20 bowl games.
You know, Neuheisel had an interesting pitch. Did you see this?
No.
I don't remember if it was on a podcast or where it was, but I just saw the
Rick
2 minute
Neuheisel, yeah.
where I saw this 2-minute pitch from him, and maybe it wasn't even a pitch, maybe it was just a projection, and I really, really like it. You play bowl games in the non-conference. You still get your Birmingham Bowl. You still get your Duke's Mayo Bowl. You get the bowl tie-ins from there. And if you're like, well, you can't do that, they're scheduling their season so far in advance. It's not going to be a rapid dissolving of bowl games. It's going to take a bit of time. Just like it feels like you're headed towards Super League. That's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of time to head wherever we are going.
Yeah.
And so you have the amount of space right now to work that in. And all of a sudden, you get these awesome, predestined, almost like how a basketball schedule works, non-conference matchup from an ACC and a Big Ten school, because you can still go off of the conference's standings, because as the bowls are being devalued and have been, but more and more, and I'm with you, I think that was the final, it's dead right here, dead on arrival. And as that happens, what's next? And part of this is the college football playoff view. Conference championships are next, right? And so we're in a very volatile world of college football, and what's important, because like my reaction with Notre Dame is they're the biggest representative of they don't love football, they love their own brand. Right?
Yeah.
But I think the side part of that, and probably the bigger thing that doesn't involve just Notre Dame, they're just the face of it, is what you're saying. Bowl games are dying. And if you do that in the non-conference, it also brings some joy back to bowl season. We just have to, as we're rethinking a lot of things in the sport, we have to rethink bowl season if we even want them there. And I love the idea of putting them in the non-conference. Also, it saves you some trouble from trying to find a good opponent. At least a game.
Yeah, so it takes, 3 weeks for those first bowl games to be assessed, planned, and traveled to? And you're telling me we can't get that done by next August?
Yeah.
We get done by December 28th, but we can't get it done by next August?
Yeah.
Next September? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And then that leaves you whatever you want to do. If you want to do 2 playoffs where you're expanding the I shouldn't say the big boy tournament. I don't want to slight the group of 6, because I would be all the way in on a group of 6 playoff. It wouldn't, I wouldn't watch it as much. And maybe even if you go, we could sit here and do theories for hours, but even if you go 16 teams, 24 teams, whatever, and you still go straight seeding, and then if a group of 6 happens to be in there, they can still be in the big whatever. You could figure out those when the time came. But I like the idea of trying to keep bowls relevant in some way, but it's not how it is right now.
Right. What do you have?
I'll just keep going with Notre Dame, and really we've covered 2 of mine, because the Heisman is one. It's an absolute joke. Nobody had the effect at their position or even on their side of the ball of what Jacob Rodriguez did. Again, I'll give you my pitch to fix it a little bit later. Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, like I said, they do not love football. My favorite part is when you see people that argue for them, they always start with well, some are going to say Notre Dame took their ball and went home. Stop right there. They did.
Yeah.
They did exactly that.
Yes.
You can't defend it. That is exactly what they did. They were at a school, and 12 kids got told they were special and got to go to a pizza party, and they weren't one of them. So they, just got up and started throwing things around. And
yeah, their parents said, we're going to have pizza at our house.
Yeah. Gosh. And then the AD is blaming the ACC, and it's that's a whole side thing too. Do you not expect the ACC to stick up for their own members?
Join the conference.
Yeah.
Join the conference if you want them to stick up for you.
They would stick up for you in basketball.
Yes.
Because you're in the conference there.
Yes.
Yeah. That is just a joke. And then, to make things worse, if you wanted to nail them down as like an off-season villain on top of things, on top of being the baby back Irish right now, well, also they had this like underhanded deal that just comes out of nowhere at the worst timing ever, by the way, for optics of, oh yeah, we have a deal where we're guaranteed in a way that no one else is for the playoffs continuing on, if it's 12 or a 14-team format, by the way.
Right.
And just drop that bomb and walk away.
Yep.
And so my last, I'm just kind of breezing through these, last overreaction is Notre Dame getting jumped by Miami without either playing a game isn't the biggest sham or wow move from the committee for the college football playoff. Even though I think they got it right. I think the route of how they got there was a joke when Notre Dame and Miami didn't play. How would you say, like, well, they had a better off week than they did? I think that was a joke.
Yeah.
But Alabama being the first conference championship participant to lose a game and not move an inch,
Yep.
and not just lose a game, lose the same way that BYU did, and they get penalized for it. They get -3 yards running the ball.
Yep.
That was ranked 16th in the SEC, and only 2 teams played. 2 teams played.
No.
They got smacked by Georgia. How did they not get penalized at all? I can tell you, we all know, that's where, like, if you didn't know, at least ESPN's not trying to hide, or the College Football Playoff Committee isn't trying to hide the brand bias at this time. At least they went all in on that.
If
but
Alabama had
what
been
a
in the
joke.
playoff last year, do you think they would have been in this playoff?
No.
Or do you think, yeah. So
No.
So we agree that it was kind of a payback for
Yes.
last year.
It was boy, Feinbaum's going to come after us again.
Yeah. BYU should have been in the playoff in front of Miami, but both of them should have been in the playoff in front of Alabama. Miami should have played for their conference championship game and earned their way in. So the ACC screwed up there. And if Virginia had won, I think Notre Dame would have been in the playoff, because I think the committee overreacted to not having an ACC team, so they put Miami in instead of Virginia.
There were 2 deaths that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Bowl season, and the way that we handled the playoff now.
Yeah.
I mean, and on top of it, I was thinking about this.
Well, it's been bad every year.
Yes.
We've been doing it wrong the whole time. You cannot let these ADs and these TV executives who have obvious biases
Bias eyes.
be in control, bias and be in control of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's just like it has been bad every year, or there's been something you could argue at least every single year. But really recently, and now the 2 years that we've looked at with the 12-team format has just been completely bungled, and it can't be, you can't trust it.
When they set all this stuff up when the Pac-12 was still existent, and so you knew that there would be 4 conference champions that were in the top 12 of the Power 5. And maybe a G5 would have the opportunity over one of the Power 5s if they earned it. Then immediately, by the time you get to the opportunity to be at the 12-team playoff, the Pac-12's dead.
Yeah.
And so you have an automatic G5 berth now, because it's the Power 4 and the G5. And that should not be the case.
I like to think, like, in the room where they were making some of the final decisions of expanding to 12, and I was all in for expansion. I'm in for at least for me personally, cap at 16. I'm in for more expansion.
16 makes sense.
There just has to be a better way to do it. But I like to think in that room when they were making those final decisions that there, was some of the anti-contingency that was in there, and they were like laying what-if situations. And someone was like, we can't do that. I'm like, why? Like, okay, well, let's just say what if a whole conference dies out And we're sitting there, and then, I don't know, Miami jumps Notre Dame, even though neither of them played, and Notre Dame, you get left out. Oh,
and then Miami played Notre Dame, and Miami beat them.
The conference champion for one of the Power Fours gets left out, by the way. And then, stay with me, the worst, what if 2 group of 6 schools get in, and they're like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, what if a 7-5 team out-maneuvers in the tiebreakers a 10-2 team in Miami?
They're like,
no, that's such a weird situation that happened.
They're like, are you on drugs?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, no, it could happen. It's like, look over and he's got a tinfoil hat, and by the way, he was right.
All of that happened. So I don't know what the situation is moving forward. If it's 16 teams next year and you limit it to 4 automatic qualifiers, or you move it up to 8 automatic qualifiers and you just pick the seeds of the home teams at that point, 8 home games, and then you have 8. Well, you have 4, 2, 1 past that in some of these traditional bowl sites, but I don't know. It just, I would hope that Texas Tech would play in a bowl, regardless of the record, if they were asked to. But I don't blame Baylor for turning down a bowl. I don't blame Iowa State and Kansas State for turning down bowls. Now, they got fined for it. I don't like it, but they don't have coaches. They don't have head coaches.
I don't have a problem with the 5 and 7s because they thought their season was over, and God knows where some of those players are, right? If you can wrangle them back together. But we have seen you coach games with your coach leaving for another program. I do have a bigger issue with those that have turned it down.
What does it matter that they're not in the...
If I have a problem with Notre Dame doing it, I should have just as much of a problem with them doing it. And I do.
Well, but Notre Dame has their head coach.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. If you're in a coaching change and you're less than 7-5, I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
But if you're 10-2 and your reasoning is we should have been in the playoff, well, you shouldn't have been because you didn't get picked. That's how it works. And you're in a premier bowl selection, like those should matter. The Alamo Bowl still matters. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, ridiculous that it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That one still matters, right? Like 10 years ago, the Rose Bowl mattered. But now the Pop-Tarts Bowl is one of the most premier bowl games outside the playoff. But if it's the Cherry Bundy Tart Cherry Bowl, or the Gasparilla Bowl, or the Bad Boy Mowers 2-day-old milk challenge bowl, like, yeah, you're 6-6. You have a new head coach. You have 2 new coordinators, and you're putting an interim in to coach the bowl game because this head coach is out recruiting. Oh, and by the way, the new coach gets double the NIL money, and he's in the portal already. Oh, and by the way, because you had a coaching change, your whole team's in the portal.
Okay, so it's not as big of a problem as Notre Dame because that's the worst example, but I'll tell you why I still don't like it. One, I would be livid if I was in a fan base that turned it down. Why? Because I'm a fan of watching that team play a game.
Sure, yeah.
I have watched that team all year long. Even if you fire the coach, or if he leaves, or if assistants leave, or if players are saying I'm opting out, which happens, you knew you were bowl eligible. That was the whole point. And if you're gonna sit there and as a program say like, oh well, you know, we didn't win the conference championship. Hey, we got to 7 wins. Play your bowl game.
Hey, I agree.
I mean,
that should be
as
how it
a
is.
college football fan. Do you know what I like? Watching football games.
I understand it, I think is where it is.
Yeah.
Do I like it? No. Do I think it can be fixed? Probably not. Do I understand it? Yeah. I understand it. If it was Texas Tech, I would be pissed. But I understand Kansas State and Iowa State not going. I get it.
I mean, this just circles back to why bowl season's dead.
Yep.
We won't have to be mad at this in the near future.
Right.
If you are mad at it. But again, at the same time, what do we care? You know, you're
Right.
you're the 4th seed. It is an Orange Bowl berth. I think, some had said, like, well, did Indiana mess that up for us? No, Ohio State messed that up for us, which that conference championship game was just so weird. If you ever are in, like, an untested area where it's like, here's number 1, here's number 2, or here are these 2 great teams that we don't know what's going to happen. We just think that they're the best 2 teams in college football. Always aim for a lower score. There was your lesson again. But we know your draw. We know that on your side it is James Madison and Oregon. We already talked about Oregon viewing this as like, oh, this was a favorable draw for us. We have the easiest path from anybody that's played in the first round. Do you like the draw team-wise? If you could pick, like now that you know the teams in the field and in the first round, do you like the first or your side of the bracket?
Yeah, I think 3 and 4 generally have the best draws because they have the opportunity to play 11 or 12 potentially. And in this particular season, Ole Miss is in a bit of a disarray moment, right? Mm-hmm. So I think Georgia probably has the best path to the semis. I think once you're in the semis, it's all the same. So I think if the other team knocked off number 1, they're playing really well at the time. Or if the other team knocked off number 2, they're playing really well at the time. So in the semifinals, it's all the same. But to get to the semifinals, I think I'd rather be Georgia playing Ole Miss or Tulane than playing Oregon. But I'd rather play Oregon than Oklahoma or Alabama right now. I'd rather play Oregon than Texas A&M or Miami.
Is it? I agree with Texas A&M and Miami. I guess I made some Oklahoma fans mad last week. They just don't have an offense.
Matchup wise, I would rather play Oregon.
But I do like
their defense is really good.
They're
what Oklahoma is what national media thinks you are.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't think that they don't have a great defense, but I think there's a lot of great defenses in the field.
Yeah.
Theirs would be towards the top of there just like yours were, but I would completely trust your offense over theirs.
Yeah.
Oregon, I think, is a little bit of a wild card.
I think Dan Lanning's really good.
This is where I think like my starting point outside of it's going to be tough to go win at Oregon. It would be tough for anybody to go win at Oregon. It just happens to be a team in James Madison that they're going to be a heavy underdog, right? Dan Lanning is right up there with Joey McGuire as one of the best motivating coaches in college football. He's also elite at smacking teams that you are supposed to beat, like handily. And so, I think that they have it's going to be hard to keep pace with them for James Madison because their offense is so explosive. Dante Moore hasn't always been like great. He's had some stinkers this year, but as a whole, that Oregon team is really explosive. That offensive line will be the best offensive line they've seen all year. You have the game against Louisville earlier with James Madison, and that was kind of a weird one. They hung with them. Louisville ends up being a little bit of a disappointment and a little bit overrated, but still you hung with Louisville on the road. Oregon is just a little bit different of an animal. And then also you go, well, that's an Oregon team who also is explosive defensively. So as good as I think and as entertaining of a 1-2 punch that James Madison has with their quarterback and running back, it's just going to be hard to match what Oregon has. But also, I think Lanning is going to have them ready, and it's not going to be we were looking at Texas Tech past James Madison. I just think he's really good at focusing in on some of the bad opponents. Not bad opponents,
right?
Opponents that they're heavy favorites.
Do you think Oregon has a better offensive line than Utah?
The Joe Moore Award would tell you yes. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I think it's on par with them. I think it's a really good offensive line. That might be the strength of their team.
Maybe, yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't think that you're not going to win that battle.
Yeah. Well, we have several weeks to talk through all these games.
Sure.
But, I don't think there's the easiest way, the cop-out way. I don't think there's an easy path in the playoff.
No, that's
right.
That's what it's the flip of me saying I don't think there's a huge advantage of getting like the 1 seed compared to the 4 seed. If you have a bye, I think you have an advantage in the straight seeding format.
Yeah. Now, Oregon and Ole Miss have advantages in the first round. But beyond that, quarterfinal, semifinal, national championship.
Don't tell the Green Wave or the Dukes that.
It's really hard to get to a national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Do you agree with the seeding? What do you agree with in the seeding? What don't you agree with? We've talked about it a little bit.
Of the field?
Of the field. I mean, you and I are both of the thought that BYU should be in, especially if you're putting Alabama in, but is there anything else that you either disagreed with or you thought they nailed? Maybe thought just was interesting?
Yeah. No, not really. Because what were they supposed to do? Were they supposed to put... Like, because I'm looking at the SEC, right? 9, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9.
Why was 6 afraid of 7?
Are you...
It's because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know how else you would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. I don't envy the playoff committee here. There's some rematches. You're setting up rematches, but you're not moving Miami up even further than 10. That's just kind of how you box yourself in there. I think Alabama should have fallen, sure. But you can't move them to 11 if they're in the field. If they're 10 and you move Miami to 9, it's still Alabama and A&M playing each other. If you had dropped Ole Miss to 7 and A&M back to 6, I think I would have agreed with that just because Ole Miss is going through a coaching change. But no, I don't have any big qualms with it. If that's the field, I have qualms with the field, but I don't have qualms with how the field seeded. Yeah. I think Miami should be 11 and BYU should be 10.
Sure.
Or Notre Dame should be in the field and Tulane should be 11 and James Madison should be playing their bowl game and Bob Chesney should be in Los Angeles.
Sure.
So I don't envy how the field was set up, and I'm to the point already. Just line them up and play them. And I wish we didn't have to wait 3 weeks to see Texas Tech play again.
Yes. I wish we didn't have to. That's why we're kind of staying away from breaking down Oregon and James Madison too much on this episode, because we're going to have next week to do that, and then we're going to have another week to re-break down whoever the winner is, plus react to the field. I would say, and this isn't like a big qualm, this is an interesting note because we thought you were in line with the Cotton Bowl. It would have been awesome had it worked out that way. It's hard to be upset with the Orange Bowl because you got what you wanted. You got a bye, right? It would have been the Jones East again. You would have showed out. It would have been insanely red at AT&T Stadium. But I think the Big Ten had the perfect storm for you where it was Indiana that won, the not as big brand, the not reigning champion, and then it was right there for either team. It was such a close game.
Yeah.
And so I think you could have had that same score and maybe had a better chance, even though they're like, oh, well, regionality, things like that. No.
Yeah.
That we could get into why that doesn't make sense. But either way, I think there was a perfect storm of how that game works out and why you're in the Orange Bowl, not the Cotton Bowl. But again, I don't think anybody should be making a big
spot the ball
at this point.
Yeah,
shouldn't be. I feel if you're like in the Dallas area, and obviously there's a bunch of Red Raiders, it's going to be tougher to travel to Miami. I'm not blind to that. I understand.
It's also tougher for Oregon folks to get to Miami than it would be for them to get to Arlington.
Sure. People are saying Joey Maguire is Mr. Worldwide with going to Miami. Is that true?
He's a little bit of a pit bull.
A little bit. Are you ready for me to fix the Heisman Award?
Yes.
I would love to fix this for you.
Do it.
So if they wanted to shrug the quarterback award, which I don't think they care to, but if they do, if they did, they washed away any progress they made last season. We'll start there.
Yeah.
It is still a massive honor. I'm not saying it isn't, but the way that it is worded does not fit the description of the award anymore. The description doesn't fit the award, I should say. It's given to the most outstanding player of the United States for exceptional skill, dedication, and hard work, embodying the spirit of the game's pioneer, John Heisman. Does it say skill player in there or really good quarterback play? No. But that is how it's approached. Of any year to have the combination of a deserving defensive player doing something no one else is doing on his side of the ball, and in a way, something that we haven't seen ever, plus two quarterbacks deserve to be there, but also just on really good teams. And then the third, why are you here, where you are doing something we've seen literally hundreds of quarterbacks do. You could say the same thing about the running back, but again, I have no problem with him being there. Here's my fix. Here's my offer, because I just think that this makes sense. We have the Davey O'Brien. We have the Bolitnikoff. We have the Mackey. We have the Doak Walker. We have the Bednarik. We have the Nagurski. We have the Lou Groza. We have the Ray Guy. Go down all of these awards that we have where it's either position specific or side of the ball specific.
Yeah, the Maxwell, yeah.
We hand those off right after conference championship weekend.
Oh, I like where you're heading.
Guess what? You can't make the Heisman unless you won one of those awards.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to win the Heisman if you didn't win the Davey O'Brien? That's not going to make any sense. Fixed. Hand out the Heisman before the national championship or right after. You get plenty of time to get your Heisman votes in once you officially know.
So those winners are on the Heisman ballot.
Yes.
And you vote for it there.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. It's perfect. Take notes. I love it.
It just seems like an easy fix.
I'd never heard that before. That's great.
Why are we not doing that?
Yeah. Is that an original thought?
That was my thought this morning.
I've never heard of that.
This is my Heisman TED Talk.
I love it. He does have a brain.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, it's just like, people are going like, why are we inviting the group of 6 team? They don't have a chance to win the national championship. Why are we inviting multiple positions when one of the guys didn't even win the positions award?
Yeah.
That's like totally separate of me trying to pitch for Jacob Rodriguez, which is pointless right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jacob Rodriguez for all the awards that he is winning right now. I mean, they are starting to roll in. It is awesome. What the most recent one as we film this is the Nagurski.
There was a more recent.
The
Pony Express Award, which is to the duo on the same side of the ball, the same team, Jacob Rodriguez and David Bailey winning the Pony Express Award.
Which I like that he found a way to get some national.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was a finalist on other national awards too, so.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No. No.
No. And it's like, oh, we're just trying to honor those that deserve it. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Nope.
No, you're not. You haven't been. This is looking ahead a little bit. We talked about Behren Morton just a smidge. Do you think we will see the best version of him in the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, I talked about this going into the Big 12 championship game. His difference from BYU to Kansas State to UCF to West Virginia to BYU again has been drastic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was at 70% in the Big 12 championship game or in the West Virginia game, one of the two. Can he get to 90 with 3 more weeks off? Is he going to get to 100?
Mm-hmm.
I am all in on Behren Morton's best Behren Morton day around the corner.
I agree. Especially best Behren Morton version we've seen against a good opponent this year.
Yeah.
Because obviously that injury starts, week 2 against someone you were already...
Week 1?
Week 1? Yeah, golly, man.
First half?
Yeah, so just take away even the best opponent. Point period blank.
Point blank period.
whatever. Are you ready to whip around the Big 12 now?
Yes.
Whoosh. Is there... I want to ask you something. I'm not trying to be rude. With all of the bowl games are dead, and there's, including at Big 12 teams, declining the invite, is there any excitement for you at all to tune into the other Big 12 games now that we know they're bowl destinations?
Yeah, I'll still watch BYU and Georgia Tech.
Well, watching and excited is different.
I'm excited for BYU, Georgia Tech.
That's like a parent saying, like, oh, are you actually excited to watch your 10-year-old's recital that's going to last 30 minutes and they are a shrub in the background for 30 seconds of it? Are you actually excited, or is it like, I'm going to watch it?
I actually think there is a way to drum up excitement for every Big 12 bowl game. You ready?
I'm ready.
BYU, Georgia Tech, because it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah. Which also, a big fan of Kalani Sitake.
I think LSU Houston, just because of regionality, and I like the Texas Bowl. That's probably lower on my list. TCU, if they rehire Garrett Riley, that could be Garrett versus Lincoln. Garrett's out of a job. Kendall is heading to South Carolina. But even so, I think a Big 12 school beating Lincoln Riley would be fun. Go Trojans, though, in that game. Now, Arizona State Duke, that would be the least. Do not care about the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Sorry. Nebraska Utah, I think Utah's going to win by that by 40. I'm not excited about that game at all. Navy Cincinnati, all right, I lied. There's 3 games I don't care about at all. But Arizona SMU, I'm actually pretty excited about that one. The Holiday Bowl. SMU has a chance to go 0-3 against the Big 12. So I am excited about that matchup. Arizona SMU, but yeah, the rest of them, no, don't care at all. So what was that, 3?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch them. Maybe the easiest one that I'm drumming up excitement for is Georgia Tech and BYU, because it seems like both programs are invested. Which, by the way, shout out to Clark Lee and Vanderbilt, because he had the response that Notre Dame should have.
Yes. Love Clark Lee.
Where he just said, look, guys, we didn't earn it, and so we can't be mad about it. We'll need to do better next year. Yeah. But also said, hey, we had a great season, right? We're doing things here. We just flipped a 5-star quarterback from Georgia to us. We're doing good things.
Yeah.
We didn't earn it this year.
Agreed.
Yeah. Fan question of the week, as always, you can drop one with Rob's Twitter, with my Twitter, Double T973's Twitter, or on the link below. We have appreciated all of the feedback we've got. We've appreciated the comments on the link here. You can do so, and while you're here, you can like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
The question this week, and this is something, again, we'll dive even more into, but who are the best players on Texas Tech's side of the bracket?
Yeah, I think Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza are very good quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hard-pressed to name many defensive players better than what Texas Tech has, but I think Cassius Howell at A&M is probably the second best, third best, fourth best defensive player, depending on how far you get down Texas Tech's roster.
Yeah.
to be in there. So I think Cassius Howell is very good at A&M. I think Alabama has some really talented players, especially Ryan Williams at receiver. And then Indiana is so weird because they have some really good receivers. They have a good running back. They've got talent on defense, but
yeah, I really like their linebacker.
I like the individuals that get a lot of accolades.
I like their linebackers a lot, but I'm with you. It's so weird because now they're the number 1 team in the country, right?
Yeah.
But who does everybody talk about? It's Fernando Mendoza,
right.
And at least even for you, like, you get a little bit more like, yeah, they'll talk about Behren Morton because you have to talk about the quarterback, right? And Behren Morton's a good player, but you'll get a little. Here's Jacob Rodriguez. Here's David Bailey. Here's Cole Wisniewski. I've heard more of like Howard Sampson talk than I have, and that's not a shot at the offensive line. We're both huge offensive line fans,
Right.
but that just doesn't get talked about because it's not like the sexy pick to talk about. But Indiana doesn't have any of that outside of Fernando Mendoza, which is very interesting because they just beat a team in their conference championship that is littered with that, right? Of finding individual guys outside of Julian Sayin. I have, you pretty much said everybody I would, if I looked at like just your section of the bracket, not even just side, like their Betcher, the linebacker, inside linebacker for Oregon, I think is really good. I would add Noah Whittingham, their running back, and then they've got a couple of edge rushers who are, that's going to be a huge note of if you are going to beat Oregon, that you'll have to take care of. But you can go to, if you wanted to James Madison, and like I said, I like their Barnett, their quarterback, Wayne Knight, shout out Space Jam, Jurassic Park and Seinfeld. Their running back, I think that is a very explosive duo. Yeah. And then they've got some interesting pieces for their pass rushers. They have like 30-something sacks this year, but can they get that? They did have 3 against Louisville, but can they do that against Oregon's offensive line? That's just, I know that's just a whole bunch of like a net cast of names, if you will, but
we're way more specific on those bowl games in the Big 12 and beyond next week.
I really am. I'm excited when we move on to next week to get past the reaction part and actually, because it's almost all fun. It's all fun for your angle, but then like if you're annoyed by like how the committee it is and stuff like that, like you said, I'm excited to just start these games. I'm excited to break down these matchups a little bit more from top to bottom, which is what we will do next week. What was that? See you then.
I can't touch you. Welcome to Red Raider Recon. I'm Clint Scott. Ready?
Yeah.